Hey everyone, and welcome back to Token Talk. Now today I want to talk about SUI because we've seen a lot of really interesting things. Obviously SUI performing amazingly so far this year. So I want to take kind of that next step and think about, okay, well, if SUI does well, what do we see out of the ecosystem, and how can we maybe potentially find some winners or some losers within the ecosystem? Because in my opinion, that's where we'll start to find some really, really crazy gains. Because right now, I mean, let's be honest, SUI at this point probably maybe does another 2 to 5x from here. Good gains overall, right? I mean, if you're like a low risk investor, I would say that like is a pretty decent thing. Now, I don't know if any such thing as low risk investors exist within crypto, but if that is such the case, or a low risk for crypto, then maybe, SUI's looking really, really good right now. Now, if you're still looking to make millions of dollars or that 100x or 1000x or whatever off of SUI, not going to happen, right? I think I can feel pretty comfortable saying that that's just not going to happen, especially this run, right? Like maybe 50 years from now or something, and SUI owns the world and all this type of stuff, then yeah, sure, maybe, right? But at this point in time, that's just not going to happen. However, I do think that there are still ways where you can make very, very outsized gains. Think 100x's, 1000x's, potentially that type of stuff on SUI. Now, it's just not holding the SUI coin in particular. So anyway, we're going to get onto that here in a second. Before we did that, though, I did just want to take a look at the crypto bubble so we can see how the overall market is kind of unfolding. We can see pretty strong green day overall. We are seeing reds here and there, but overall, pretty good, and we're seeing some pretty like large ups as well. Obviously virtual is continuing to do quite well, Stacks doing well, Ondo, Phantom another that's doing quite well. We have Athena down here, SUI right here again doing quite well, ENS, Pith, and then Helium, also others that are kind of leading the way up. So things looking pretty good overall, I would say, for the crypto market. We did see Bitcoin is breaking all-time highs again, so I do think potentially we continue to see Bitcoin run up through the end of the year, and things look pretty good going forward. But moving back to the topic at hand today, is I want to talk about SUI. And so what we can see here, SUI's starting to get a decent bit of TVL on their ecosystem. Obviously the move up this year has been really nice. However, I did want to emphasize though that if a lot of this is just staked SUI, a lot of the TVL could just be from the value of SUI going up. So this is not always like a perfect indicator of the health of the ecosystem. However, I do usually like to look at stablecoins as kind of being a somewhat indirect measurement of health of the ecosystem, because typically if there's more stuff to do on the ecosystem and there's places to be and all this like interesting apps, all that type of stuff, usually you may probably want to hold some money on the SUI ecosystem because you have stuff to do there, and that's where you want to hold your money. So a somewhat indirect way to check the health of the ecosystem would be seeing an overall trend up within stablecoins. However, we are not seeing that. It's been kind of stagnant overall. And so this, I would say, is not necessarily great news. I wouldn't say it's concerning per se. I'm just thinking that we aren't necessarily seeing the SUI ecosystem really catch too much traction at this point in time. But again, that's usually when there are the best gains to be made. When everybody's already there, that's typically when all the best opportunities have long passed, because everybody's already there. And so I want to take a look at the SUI ecosystem, because we can see up here at the top, obviously we have USDC. Obviously not all of the market cap of USDC is within SUI, but USDC does play a part here. Then after that we have the SUI coin itself, and then here it looks like we have a couple more stable coins, and then we get to like our first, like, I guess, real project you could say on SUI, and that is the Cetus protocol. Cetus has done really quite well up to this point, Deepbook being another that has done quite well. Those are kind of the two sitting here at the top of like the SUI ecosystem. After that, we do have Lo-Fi. Lo-Fi is one that's been marketed pretty heavily lately, I would say. Obviously, the marketing has paid off quite well because the market cap has done very, very well for itself. So things looking good for Lo-Fi overall. However, we do have a lot more different projects as we go down the list. Tons of things here and there. Obviously, the difficulty here is going to be to pick the winner, because obviously, if we look at something like, let's say SUI, maybe we see a 2 to 5x. Something like Cetus, again, maybe we're looking at, this is 278 million. Maybe we see a 2 to 4 billion market cap. That puts us anywhere between 10 to 20x roughly. And again, that's probably that's a really high market cap, assuming SUI does continue to go to 40, $50 billion market cap overall. That is something that I would say probably makes a little bit of sense. So here you can see we're kind of going down the line, right? So we went from 2 to 5, now maybe to like 10 to 20 on these. We go now maybe a little bit lower. Let's find, Blub. I'm assuming this is a meme coin. I don't know for certain, but just based on everything, this looks like a meme coin to me. This is only 47 million. So now maybe, you know, this becomes the whiff or the bonk of SUI. Maybe we see it do bonk or whiff type numbers and it gets into 4 billion. Okay, well, that's 100x. Things looking good, you know, going further down the chart. Now, if we go some, you know, way down here, let's say we find Shiba Inu at 1.4 million. And let me clarify, I don't own any of these coins. I don't have any sort of opinions on any of these coins. I'm just trying to use these as a way to explain how we could essentially find gains, like outsized gains on the SUI network without actually buying SUI itself. So this is not an investment recommendation. I'm not persuading or dissuading you from buying or any of these. I don't really know much about any of them, so you obviously need to do your own research. It's not investment advice, all that type of good stuff. But going back to it, if we were to buy Shiba Inu, we could see that, you know, that goes to 4 billion and turns into the next bonk or whiff or whatever. That's like a 400x at this point, right? And so obviously as we go down, things continue to get, you know, a lot crazier from there. Now this is where we need to be really careful, because let's say a Shiba Inu, we're essentially going down like levels of risk, right? So the first level of risk, if we think about it, is going to be investing in crypto just generally. Is crypto going to be successful? Yes or no? Okay, that's the first level. Now we're going to go to the second level, which is which project within crypto are you going to invest in, right? So let's say we pick SUI. Okay, now we're picking that not only is crypto going to do well, but now SUI specifically within crypto also needs to do well. Now there is a world in which maybe, let's say, Ethereum and Solana win and SUI loses. Now you've essentially taken that risk by being invested in that second level, which is why SUI has already gone up 9x this year and Bitcoin has like doubled or something, right? So there's the reason for that difference in variance, is because SUI at that point in time was a much smaller market cap, it was much riskier, and the odds of success were lower than what it would be maybe at a point like right now. And so now we're going to have to go a third layer below that, which is investing within particular ecosystems, right? So now, if not only do you need crypto to win, not only do you need the chain that you picked to win, so in this case it would be SUI, but now you need to expect that this specific coin of all the coins in the ecosystem will be successful. So again, to pick a different example this time, we got Super SUI in at 2 million market cap. Super SUI needs to be the one that wins, and Frog and Rat likely will go to 0, Sui Beaver will likely go to 0, Wild Goat Coin will likely go to 0, on and on and on. All these are probably going to go to 0 except for like 1, right? And so now you're taking that essentially that third, like that tertiary level of risk of, okay, well, not only does crypto need to be successful, not only does SUI specifically need to be successful, but now this specific coin within the SUI ecosystem also needs to be successful. So hopefully you can see where the like level of risk continues to elevate as you go further and down, like further and further down the project, and find these smaller and smaller market cap coins. Now obviously we did talk about, you know, Shiba Inu does well, you're gonna make 400x, where if you buy SUI you might only be making 2 to 5x. And on Bitcoin, you know, maybe from here to what we see the top of the market, you may only be making 20 to 50% potentially. I mean, it could be more, it could be less, who knows? We could have already seen the tops. I don't know, I can't tell the future, all that type of stuff. But overall, like, hopefully you can see this is how you get to higher returns, is by also taking higher risk. And so there are ways to find, you know, kind of some better coins from some worse coins and increasing odds of success there. But overall, you just need to at least understand and be cognizant of the fact that like you can lose, and it's much easier to lose. Like there is a world in which SUI is successful and you're not, because you were invested in some random SUI coin that went to 0 while everything else in the ecosystem did well, or something like that, right? So hopefully you understand the kind of the nuance there, the difference. If you found the information in this video useful, please do give us a like and subscribe, because it really does help us out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just feel free to drop those in the comment section below. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.